What if Grand Theft Auto came out for the NES? What would Super Smash Bros. Be like if it came out on the Game Boy? Or how about the controversial game Hatred on the Atari 2600? These are Demakes, reimagining today's games on the video game platforms of yesterday. Usually these are fan-created games for the PC, but not always the case. A while back I did a poorly done video covering 15 video game Demakes. I'll leave a link at the end if you want to check that video out, but for now let's look at some more. Flappy Bird. The Atari 2600 version of the famous mobile game Flappy Bird. You try to fly a bird between pipes for as long as you can. This one is actually a ROM, so you'll need an Atari 2600 emulator or transfer it to a cartridge to actually play it. So you're going to get a completely authentic Atari experience. This too was my actual first experience with Flappy Bird, and this game is really annoying. But I do kind of see the addicting quality to it though. Funny thing though that this demake just kind of shows a lot of mobile games are nothing more than just Atari games. Bit of War. One of Sony's flagship PlayStation titles, remade as a Nintendo game. This one got a lot of attention due to its great quality, fun platforming, some tough boss battles, and quick-time adult scenes. Even if you're not a fan of God of War, it's still a great play and worth a go. The author really isn't quite done and also made a version of God of War in a Game & Watch style. It's pretty amazing what some people can come up with, but I really hated these handheld things even as a kid. Mass Effect 8-bit. This takes the epic BioWare sci-fi role-playing game and turns it into a traditional top-down role-playing game. And like classic role-playing games, you need a world map to travel, a turn-based combat system, and of course a rich text-filled story. Blah 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 blah. Jeez. It's still not done. Now this one is still in beta as far as I know. It does have some issues with moving, unbalanced combat with the use of grenades. Just throw grenades. And appears some double spawning issues. You kill one enemy and have another battle immediately. Needs some work. Don't know if it's ever going to be finished though. Sewer Shark. I had a Sega CD when I was younger, and Sewer Shark was the full motion video game that came with it. And this remake makes it look like some late 80s computer game. It stays true to the premise of exterminating radigators and trying not to run into walls. You also get still shots of your co-pilot Ghost quoting lines from the original game. A neat feature this game has is it can simulate 3 computer looks. This isn't a very fun game, but a cheer to Park Productions for coming up with this idea. Really neat. Soul Blade, the 3D fighting game on PlayStation 1, now for Genesis. This one is actually for the Sega Genesis, so you're going to need an emulator or a cart to play. Now, I'm not sure if this is an official release because I see no Namco logos or licensed by Sega texts, but it seems pretty professional, so it might be a prototype. Overall, though, it's not a very good fighting game, but hey, everything can't be Street Fighter, I guess. If you like Soul Blade, try it in 16-bit style. Deadly Cops. From what I can tell from the art, this is a reimagining of Lethal Enforcers, made into the style of those terrible old handhelds from the 80s and early 90s, and I still hate these things. Ugh. Little Girl in Underland. This takes the American McGee's Alice game and turns it into a point-and-click adventure, but it's reimagined if Soviet Russia made it instead.
Oh, look it! Now, little girl must follow Western Rabbit.
Why?
It is important plot point.
But...
Hurry! He get away!
No kill, little girl. Just follow. Can do this.
So it's quite humorous. Unfortunately, it's really short. But you'll probably have a good little laugh out of it. It's kind of funny.
Whoa!
Doom, the Roguelike. Although this isn't exactly a remake, it does turn a first-person shooter into a non-animated overhead rogue game. This one has a lot of classic rogue play elements and is actually an enjoyable game to play. I had a really good time with this one, and I'd say it's worth checking out. The Devil May Cry, Dante Must Die. A side-scroller where you can attack enemies with a sword or attack them with a gun. You can even shoot up the walls. It's kind of weird, but I found it really hypnotic to do it for some reason, so I really like shooting the walls. The game featured some power-ups and a save system, and by no means is this a great game, but there was definitely some effort put into it. It does need a little more work, but not a bad try. Left 4 Dead, the hit zombie game from Valve remade for the Nintendo. Choose from one of 4 heroes and fight your way through tons of zombies with a variety of different weapons such as shotguns and submachine guns. This one is also a very popular demake because of its great quality and fun gameplay. This is another one I recommend to play, it's very cool. Halo Gallant. So if Halo was released on the handheld Sega Game Gear, you would probably see something like this. The story is based around the Halo novels and has this real Mega Man-y feel to it, and the sprite work is excellent. The author certainly has talent. Now, if the Sega Game Gear isn't your thing, there's also a version that looks like a Game Boy game. So whatever your flavor for Halo may be, I'm sure you're going to have fun either way. Xcom, Enemy Unlikely. This is a demake of one of the greatest squad-based strategy games of all time, Xcom Enemy Unknown. In Xcom, you would equip your squad of soldiers and send them in battle against aliens all over the world with lots of micromanagement. Now what Xcom does is it strips a lot out of it to a basic level, making this a less complex game to play. And this actually doesn't hurt the game, it makes it more accessible and quicker to play. So basic management is simple. Combat itself can be used with a joystick, and I highly recommend using one, it's really comfortable. And again, the game's been simplified, the combat is easy, and it just pushes the fun factor way up. Now, even though less complicated to play, it still retains that intense moment when fighting the odds, just like in the original XCOM. On this list of demakes, this is the must play. It is addicting and it is just so fun. If you've never played a turn-based strategy games, this might get you into them. This is a great game. Highly recommended. Street Fighter II, the NES project. Now, there's a lot of people involved in this one, but Baya and Caddy seem to be the two main, so that's why I'm giving them credit. So this puts Street Fighter II in an NES-style game. Interesting though, there was an actual Street Fighter II bootleg for the Nintendo, but this Mugen game is much funner. It's got a huge cast of characters, including some secret ones, and you can play Hagar from Final Fight, which I had to do that. As a fighting game itself, it's pretty decent. I found the AI a little stupid most of the time, but still enjoyable, and I can see the two-player fights to be a lot of fun. Some of the demake illusion though was taken away due to some really high quality audio samples and these really non-Nintendo looking special effects. But those are only minor complaints, it's a really well done demake. So there you have it, I hope you liked our look at some of these video game demakes. If you want to play any of these, just do a Google search and I'm sure you can find some of these for download. And if you want, you can check out my definitely older demake video. And as always, thanks for watching.